is nonverbal communication. If you've ever owned a dog, or honestly just met one, you've already witnessed nonverbal communication in action. Think about it. Dogs don't use words. They can't say, "Hey, I'm super excited to see you," but they sure do communicate it through wagging tails, happy jumps, and enthusiastic face licks. Or what? They're mad? You know it. Ears back, no tail wag, and that cold side eye they give you when you forget to feed them. That's nonverbal communication, and believe it or not, humans do the exact same thing, except hopefully with less face licking. If you remember from reading chapter 8.1, and I know you all did, right? Nonverbal communication is the transmission of messages or signals through means other than words. This includes body language, facial expressions, eye contact, gestures, touch, and other cues. A primary function of nonverbal communication is to convey meaning by reinforcing, substituting for, or completely contradicting verbal communication. It can also influence others, regulate conversation flow, or, make things incredibly awkward. As we've already learned, verbal and nonverbal communication are two parts of the same system. They work side by side, helping us generate meaning, or occasionally confuse the absolute life out of everyone around us. I know what you're thinking. Wow, a whole video on nonverbal communication? I sure hope this is as exciting as it sounds. Well, good news. It is, because here's the thing. Over 70% of our communication is nonverbal. That means most of what you're communicating isn't what you're saying. It's how you say it. It's the way you move, the way you look at somebody, or don't look at someone. It's your body language, your facial expressions, your tone of voice, and even whether or not you're awkwardly patting someone on the shoulder like you've never met a human being before. So, here's what we're gonna do. We've put together a series of life and workplace scenarios where nonverbal communication plays a role. Your job? Pay close attention, because things move fast, and we're gonna ask you to pick out what's wrong. And remember, sometimes nonverbal communication can reinforce a message, or it can completely destroy it. So try to catch the mistakes. Are you ready? Here we go.
So the other day, a kid burned the bathroom down at my school, and I'm thinking about quitting.
Yeah, that sounds good.
I just told you I'm thinking about becoming a magician.
I think you should follow your passion.
That was just awful. She's got no eye contact. She's just looking at her phone. Her tone is flat and monotone. She's not engaged. Her posture is atrocious. She's turned away and closed off. And her facial expressions are just giving IDGAF, as the kids say. The reviews are in. That didn't go so well. Do you want to give it another go?
So a kid burned down my school's bathroom the other day, and I'm thinking about quitting. What do you think I should do?
That's awful. Do you really like your job?
I do.
I think maybe you should consider thinking about that a little bit more. Because if you really like it, then it might be hard to find another job like that. Have you looked at other options?
No, not really.
Yeah, maybe you should think about it a little more before quitting.
That's true. Thank you for listening.
You're welcome.
Much better. She's looking directly at her friend. Her tone is upbeat and responsive. Her posture is fantastic. She's showing she's engaged with her facial expressions. I think we could all learn something here. Now let's go to the office, where deadlines are coming up, and see if we can learn anything more about nonverbal communication.
Hey, Medusa, you look a little stressed. What's going on?
Dude, I have to submit this paper by later this afternoon, and I'm hitting a roadblock here, man. I don't have the stats, and I'm not sure what to do.
Oh, you'll be fine. Come on, you got this. You always do. You have it. Took me like 10 minutes. You'll get it.
Okay.
Deuces.
His tone was lighthearted and dismissive, and did not match his co-worker's clear stress. Aggressively massaging his co-worker's shoulders was invasive and unprofessional. He smiled and acted casual, and his words said, "It's easy," dismissing his coworker's visible struggle. Walking off and casually saying deuces shows a lack of empathy. That whole encounter was uncomfortable. Do you want to give it another go? Great.
Hey, Jeremy, what's going on?
Oh, dude, I just have a lot on my plate, man. I have to submit this by this afternoon, and I don't have the stats. My wife just called me, and she's taking the dog, and I'm just feeling overwhelmed. Like I don't know what to do.
Man, I've been there. I get you. Do you need some help with your work? Divide the work.
Honestly, I'd really appreciate that. I'm going through it, man.
Yeah, I get you.
Going through it.
Would you like a pat on the back?
Honestly, I could use a hug.
He really improved, didn't he, gang? His tone showed he was listening and empathetic. He asked for consent to touch his coworker, allowing him to decide if he needed a physical gesture of support, and his facial expression and eye contact were fantastic, matching the demeanor of his coworker as he shared his struggle. He didn't leave abruptly saying deuces, and he was willing to stay and support his colleague. Now on to our third and final act. Let's see what's happening in the boss's office, where someone is late.
Good morning, boss. Sorry I'm late. The wife got sick over the weekend, so I'm going to take the kids to school, and traffic is a nightmare.
Nope, not okay. You've been here 25 years, and you're just not in policy for the dress code. You're way too casual today. We have an important client coming in, and you gotta go home and change. Just get out. You gotta go.
Sorry, boss.
Wow, I wouldn't want her as my boss. Her tone was aggressive and clearly showed she was not listening. She could have gotten the same message across in a more professional way. She jabbed at her employee with a red pen and aggressively threw a suit jacket at him. The facial expression of the employee as she yelled became more and more dejected, and he had already had a rough morning. Her body language was domineering as she stood up and slapped her hands together, turning her back to dismiss him. Is that how you should treat a loyal employee? Do you want to have another go? All right.
Good morning, boss. Sorry I'm late. The wife got sick over the weekend, and someone had to take the kids to school, and traffic is a nightmare.
Hey, no worries. I'm sorry to hear about your wife. Just a gentle reminder, we do have that important client coming in today. I do see you're dressed a little bit more casual today. If you have time to run home, I'd appreciate it if you could dress up just a little bit more for that client. If not, I do have a spare jacket if you'd like to use it.
That would be awesome.
Yeah, no
I'm
worries.
so sorry.
Yeah, no worries. I appreciate your dedication to coming in today.
Thank you so much.
Of course.
Now that's the kind of boss I'd like to work for. Her tone and delivery was lighter and more forgiving to her employee. She was offering a solution rather than sending him home. She offered the jacket gently and handed it to him. The employee was clearly relieved and smiled as he received praise for his hard work over the years. Her body language was open and receptive to what her employee was saying, and she leaned back and remained facing him, giving him her undivided attention. There you have it, a crash course in nonverbal communication. We've seen how things like tone of voice, eye contact, and facial expressions, touch, and body language can completely change the meaning of a conversation. The way we communicate without words matters. So what's the takeaway here? Simple. Be mindful in the workplace and honestly, your life. Your nonverbal communication can either build connections or break them. So pay attention to how you sound, how you look, and how you move. Because like it or not, you're always communicating something. Now get out there and communicate better, non-verbally. And hey, maybe save the shoulder massages for your dog.